Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mr. BoomStick XL, and of course, my co-host with the co-most today will be Jamie Moran, aka the Elusive Gamer, aka Mr. Mass Effect himself. Umbra will not be joining us today. He worked super late and he is exhausted. I think he might be joining us on Friday morning's Breakfast at Boom. So it's just going to be me and Jamie Moran. Folks, we have a lot of topics to get into. As you've seen, the title of today's show has changed several times thanks to some evolving stories that we're going to be covering. One of which is one that you should, it's a consumer beware topic. And I got to shout out Chaos Lounge and Colt Eastwood for getting in front of this, because if you do open this email, it could be bad for your PC, bad for your personal information. There is something going on. We're going to get into that. But Jim Moran, how are you feeling, kind sir? Welcome back.
Hey man, happy to be here. It's been an interesting week to say the least. I like to just I'm a very calm individual. I don't really like lose my marbles over gaming. And this past week has been a lot
Crazy. Yes.
crazy. Some people have actually went crazy this past week. But hey, it's all gaming at the end of the day, which people shouldn't take to heart. But we've got some good topics. Let's just get into it.
Yeah, listen, folks. Like Jamie was saying, there has been a lot of craziness. The Xbox community has been a little bit all over the place. I would say I'd even dare say it's been a bit fractured. But I want to just, like I said, we here at Double Barrel Gaming are always going to keep it light. We're going to keep it fun. The topics are going to be what they're going to be. Sometimes they're going to be pointed, but what they're never going to be is just straight up negative. To go and try and rope in, new viewers based on hate narratives. We're not going to do that here, folks. So if you want an engaging conversation and you're here today, and let's say, for instance, you are finding the channel for the first time, you're not going to be disappointed, because we do have a lot of topics to get into. But the first one I do want to just immediately jump right to is one that, and again, this comes originally from the Chaos Lounge. He was a part of yesterday's podcast. I've worked with him. I worked with him numerous times. He was with me on Sunday when all of this craziness broke with the Xbox, ups and downs. But look, also Colt Eastwood put out a tweet, and he's, I'm going to use Colt because I have it in front of me. And there is what could be considered a dangerous email going around that is not from Xbox. And I'm going to read it verbatim. So if you see this, just delete it. It's not from Xbox, because when you go and you look at the actual circle of where it would be the Xbox logo, it's anonymous. So that should kind of be a little bit of red flags for you. And it goes, and it looks official, folks. It really, really does. But it's not. And it says recent news regarding Xbox Game Pass price adjustment. So, of course, this is a hot topic. And there are a lot of people that are emotional about it for a lot of reasons. Game Pass is a service that a lot of people really love. And to know that it's getting a egregious $10 increase is going to kind of price out some people. So I'm sure that whoever did this email, and I really do hope that Xbox gets in front of this and gets the hound dogs on top of whoever did this, because again, it could be, it does seem to be nefarious. It says this very simply: recently, you may have heard about changes to the price of Xbox Game Pass subscriptions. At this time, these increases will only affect new purchases and not affect your current subscription for the market in which you reside, as long as you are on an auto-recurring plan. Should you choose to cancel your plan and repurchase, you will be charged at the new current rate. If for any reasons there may be charges to your existing account, we will notify you at least 60 days in advance, and you will have the option to either cancel or change your subscription plan at any time. So of course, this is, obviously it sounds legit. Well, according to Colt Eastwood, he says no. You can't be grandfathered out of the Game Pass price hike. If you get this email from Xbox at e.exbox, it is a scam with harmful links. And again, shout out to Chaos Theory who got in front of this as well. So, folks, again, this is not the biggest topic, but I really kind of wanted to start off today's show with it because, again, it's one of those emails where a lot of people are going to see it. They're going to get excited and they're going to start clicking on things thinking that, oh, okay, we're good. Unfortunately, and again, Jamie, I want to get your kind of hot takes on this because what this ultimately is doing is preying on people's disappointment and excitement at the same time for the original price increase announcement, and then of course what we all thought. Again, the minute I saw it and I read it, I'm like, oh my god, they're reversing engines. This is great. This gave me the same feeling of how things went when Xbox Live Gold doubled in price. We all spoke our pieces, and within 8 hours of that announcement they rolled it back. This is a bit different. This is, with Xbox Game Pass. I honestly, again, maybe just me being a naive bastard, I thought that they were going to hear the outcries and I thought that the cancellation numbers would be in the millions, that they would be like, yeah, we got to kind of fix this. But that's not what happened. The price apparently is going into effect as of November 4th, which is less than a month away, folks. I am going to say this though, and before we'll get Jamie's thoughts on this in a second. There is a sale currently going on at Amazon.com. I don't know if it's another Prime Day, but they have a 3-month card for Xbox Live for $56. That is $4 cheaper than what the old price of $19.99 or $20 were. So if you want to go and start stacking and you have a credit card from them, or you can use an Affirm plan, if you want to start stacking, you want to keep your Game Pass and you were comfortable paying the $20, now is an opportunity to start stacking. If again, obviously that's for the US, your country is going to vary, but I believe those prices may also be the same thing in other countries where Amazon does sell their ware. So go and check before you make any purchases. But just to give you the heads up, yes, there is a 3-month card right now while they still have them for $56. But Jamie Moran, before we get into some of the other topics, and one is so insane, I cannot believe we are covering this, but I'm going to take the sentiment of Destin Legary, read his tweet on this, because he didn't even want to respond to it, but he did nonetheless. We'll get to that in a second. I'm laughing because it's the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. And my God, ladies and gentlemen, is all I can say. But Jimmy Moran, listen, the fake email is going around. Let's get your thoughts on this, man. Again, not a big topic of the show, but one that needed to be talked about to kind of just get the word out to the masses.
Yeah, rule of thumb for me: do not click on links in emails. Just don't, unless it's a confirmation password link, like when you sign up for things. Don't click on anything. And Game Pass. There are a lot of fraudulent emails out there about the service. There used to be about Xbox Live Gold. I assume the same thing happens if for PlayStation Network and Nintendo and stuff. But like these phishing emails happen all the time, and the unfortunate thing is that a lot of people fall for them.
Yeah, because
they do look like real emails. Like, look, as Boom and I know, the same thing happens on YouTube.
Yes.
Like, how do you think? Yeah, a lot of people's YouTubes get hacked because of an email that looks real. They click on it, saying, "Hey, you might be we want to introduce you into this special program," or anything like that. Maybe you want like help with the channel, right? They can instantly take over your Google account. Just don't click on anything. The best thing I can say is that if you want to know if this is true, like the thing is, I saw something from Tom Warren a couple of minutes ago saying it's a real email. So like, I think that when it comes to things like this, you're literally best off waiting for official word from Microsoft. You go to Xbox Newswire, just keep that saved open on your phone, and then go to that, because who knows? Maybe Microsoft changed something. Maybe the consumer protection thing in the EU does kick in, and we do get 60 days notice. We'll see what happens, but best thing I can say is just don't click on email links, because the last thing you want happening is your Xbox Live account being hacked and taken over. So just don't click on anything. Wait for word from the horse's mouth, which is what we should really do in all aspects of gaming, which unfortunately we don't do. But yeah, best thing I could say is just don't click on these links, because unfortunately, millions of people are subject to fraud every year simply because they click on these links. It's unfortunate, but that's what you get when these emails look extremely real.
Yeah, and it does. If you look at it again, I'm not talking about it like just a quick glance. I'm literally talking about if you look at the email, the way that it's set up, the graphics that are used, it looks 100% legit, and it is 100% a fake.
Yeah. So best thing I can say is just don't click on them. And look, Microsoft did reverse course on the whole Xbox Live Gold thing a couple of years ago. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Like, look how crazy this past weekend was, right?
Yeah.
I don't really do social media before 7 p.m., right? But
Right.
let's just say, right, over this past few days, I open up social media and it's literally like that scene from Pirates of the Caribbean where the ship's blown up, right? I'm like, everything's all fine. I feel great. It's a nice day outside. I open up Twitter, all hell breaks loose.
It's fire, yeah.
And
That reminds me of the gift that everyone uses about what's his name from what is it, Community, where he comes in smiling with all the pizzas.
Yeah, and it was exactly like that.
On fire.
And another rule of thumb for me is that I kind of dread opening up Twitter from Tuesdays, because Microsoft tends to drop bad news from on Tuesdays. So when the Game Pass thing happened last week, I just like, oh, okay, here we go. And then the fake hardware rumors, which we'll get into, but what an absolute colossal mess of a week. It's like I'm like, even over the weekend we couldn't enjoy ourselves. We had to deal with this BS. But yeah, the Game Pass emails, just wait till we see something official. Like, look, Microsoft, I even put out the other day, and this is like my little random thought, theory, or suggestion, right? I think Microsoft should revert prices back to normal.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they should I think they shouldn't put if Call of Duty is the reason. I think they shouldn't put Call of Duty in Game Pass for 3 to 6 months. It will be the only game that has this special treatment, but as a little reward to people that are subscribed to Game Pass, you give them maybe like 500 COD coins a month. Right. And I know it would anger a lot of people, because why aren't we getting this one game, day one? But honestly, I think a lot of people would be okay with that, Like, millions of people bought Call of Duty anyway. And I don't know. It was just a thought of mine, because look, I love Ubisoft games, right? I have a lot of them, but when they added all these new games by Ubisoft, I was like, "Oh, cool!" And then I realized, wait a minute, I own almost every
one
single
of them,
every single Ubisoft game. So I was like, okay, fair enough. And then the other thing was Fortnite.
How often do you play Fortnite, sir? Do you play Fortnite?
No,
me either. So,
well, the funny thing is, when it said Fortnite crew, I was thinking okay, I'm going to sound like such a boomer here, because I don't know what Fortnite crew is.
I had no
Right?
idea either.
I
I'm gonna
thought it
be
was
honest,
like
I literally had no
yeah,
idea.
I thought it was like a separate game or something because Fortnite has all these different. There's like Lego
That's
Fortnite.
great.
There's a racing game and all this stuff. So like I thought, oh, Fortnite crews this game, and my friend told me no, that's the battle pass. I was like, I don't play
Mhm.
Fortnite. Like I barely play multiplayer as it is. So like for me, like I'm getting some Ubisoft games I own. And there's some really good, cool games there. Ezio Collection, which I think everyone should play. Um, bunch of Ubisoft games that are there that are actually really good. But like, I own them all, and I don't play Fortnite. So like, I'm being charged £22.99, I think, a month now because I don't play Fortnite. That's just what it seems like. And who knows? Maybe Microsoft changed things. And by the way, people over the past weekend have accused me of defending Microsoft for the price hikes. I've never defended Microsoft. I just don't lose my marbles online over everything Microsoft does. Over everything. Like, look, EA is crumbling apart here. I'm probably not going to get another Mass Effect. Let's be honest, right? So, like, shouldn't I be losing my marbles online? But I'm not. I haven't had a Splinter Cell remake put in my hands yet. I'm 99% sure that game doesn't exist, but I'm not losing my marbles. And a lot of people think that in the gaming space, if you don't lose your marbles and you're tweeting angrily 30 times in a row, that you're okay with the situation. The truth is that there's way worse things in the world going on right now. Look, I live in the UK, right? I tweet a little joke about me not being able to do anything in my country, I get arrested, right? So like why the hell should I lose my marbles online over bloody Game Pass? I think them raising the price up the way they did was tone deaf more than anything, especially after they announced what they made $5 billion this year or whatever of Game Pass, and then the day after they increased the price, tone deaf, right? They shouldn't have increased the price. I think the price beforehand was perfectly fair. And then you have the PC Game Pass stuff, which people are angry about. But it is what it is. Like there's different ways of going about it, right? I'm not happy with what Microsoft did. However, I'm not going to lose my marbles online because one, I'm an adult, and two, it doesn't do anything. But that's just me.
No, it's a good point. So, again, just for some clarification, because I'm all about that context life, folks. I'm all about that evidence-based conversation. There is a user on X. Their name is Cinnabay. So it's Cinnabay XOXO. They actually responded to Colt Eastwood and his posting about, hey, gamers, beware that there's a fake email that might not only is it fake, but it might have nefarious links. You got to be super careful. Well, they actually have a picture here of their conversation with customer service at Xbox support. And Cinnabay goes on to ask, seeing conflicting news on Game Pass subpricing, some people posted an email saying current Game Pass customers with recurring billing are staying Ultimate for the same $19.99 per month. Only new subs are increasing. And of course, there was a response by Xbox customer support that says, thanks for checking in about this. It sounds like you've seen mixed information about upcoming Game Pass price changes and want to know if the current Ultimate subscription with reoccurring billing will stay at $19.99. And obviously, it says, just to confirm, it says, are you hoping to find out if the pricing will stay the same? And they go on to say, I got one more here, where the, uh, the response from Microsoft's customer service after Cinnabase says, I don't like any of the new perks, so the value has not increased for me. Am I still paying $19.99 or not? And the response from the customer service representative, and this is via chat, folks. In the case of changes, they will be updated on November 4th. If your subscription will be renewed before that date, the price will be the same only for this billing cycle, meaning that on the next month, the new price will be implemented. If you are if your subscription will be renewed after November 4th, you will receive the new price changing. So what this ultimately does, folks, is do two things. And again, I didn't want to spend too much time on this, but I really wanted to thank both Colt Eastwood and Chaos Lounge for getting in front of this. Okay, this is one of those community messages that you got to get out there. It may not be the most fun topic that you're here, but it's one that's worthy of a conversation, because there's going to be some people that get this email, and the last thing you want to hear is someone had their YouTube channel closed on them or their Twitter account suspended because someone got into it because they opened up this email. So there are two takeaways from this email that has been confirmed that it's fake. One, yes, folks, it's a fake email. Don't open it. If you see it, just delete it. That's number one. Number two, the price increase, unfortunately, seems to be locked in, and it is what it's going to be. And that's disappointing. I really thought that we would get some sort of reverse engines moment, but business is business, and it kind of sucks sometimes. But look, again, folks, right now, no matter what country you're in, you probably have Amazon.com. Please, for the love of Joe, if you want to keep your Game Pass and you want to pay less than $20, and granted, it's only a pinch less than $20 a month, and you want to start stacking, you can go to Amazon.com, type in Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and you will see that the 3-month card is $56. If that is valuable to you and you think the service still remains valuable, by all means, get your stack on. Again, I'm stacked for 3 years. I suggest people do this if you want to keep the service, because the service, again, folks, your mileage is going to vary. Don't throw the virtual tomatoes at me. I still think that at $30, it is valuable and it's worth it, because for my play style, from my personal play style, I would have spent the money this month alone on Keeper, Ninja Gaiden 4, the deluxe edition, and the $100 edition of Outer Worlds 2. I would have paid for those out of my pocket through gift cards or what have you. But I will not have to pay for that because it's in my service. So because I use the service a certain way, I get the most bang for my buck for it. Now, if that's not you, you have to be a good consumer and reevaluate whether or not the service is worth that kind of, the price of admission, so to speak. But look, we got to get into, you know what? I'm gonna shoot from the hip on this one. This is a topic that, Jamie, you made mention of, and I kind of want to take. I'm gonna get your thoughts and your theories on this, and I'm probably gonna run into YouTube and drop a poll into the chat here. Yesterday Dirt Griggity did they had the WBG show, which I was listening to as I was doing the wash today. And you know how I feel about Dirt, I feel about Sean, Ray Ray, and of course Joey. I love the dynamics that these guys have with each other. Their show is fun. I'm always in the chat. I see a lot of people in this chat that are always in that chat. And their show is fun. They make it fun. They are a necessary. I know. I don't do the console war like they do, but I think that they are not only incredibly funny on how they do it, but they're necessary to kind of keep the odds at bay, so to speak. So I love the work that they do. So there was a conversation that happened during yesterday's show that I thought was pretty interesting, and I want to really kind of get I want to get the chat involved in this one, because this one is going to be diversive. I really think there are going to be some people that say, hell yeah, get it out, and there's going to be a bunch of people say, hell no, that's part of the service, I want it there. And what I'm talking about is referring to something that Jamie Moran made mention of. Now, Jamie, you specifically made mention of Call of Duty. And one of the reports from earlier in the week was that somehow or another, Microsoft lost $300 million on the 4.2 million copies that weren't paid for on Xbox, that people played through their service for Black Ops 6. Now, this was a report from Bloomberg. And I'm going to be honest with you. I would say, well, it's Bloomberg, cash it in, it's legit. Here's the thing, though. If you go and you look and read this report, there are some important, jarring things that are missing from it. Now, the one thing that you'll hear from Game Pass subscribers is the word free, right? This is something that is used. It's a terminology that's done not to be facetious in any way, but when you pay for a service and you're not actually taking the money out of your wallet, like you would walk into, the gas station to pay for your $20 of unleaded, or walk into the grocery store and pay with your credit card or your cash, it's automatically being deducted. So for us, for a lot of consumers, we have this mentality of, oh, well, I'm getting, this game for free because it's in my service. And we don't really think about it because we're not actually taking the cash out of our pockets to pay. It's usually attached to a credit card, or you bought one of the 3-month cards and you stacked or whatever. So you don't really feel like you're paying. And you're not wrong for that. That's normal consumerism, right? But what was absent, Jamie and chat, from this report was people like me. And this is where I'm going to put myself on the stand, folks. And of course, you know how I feel about doing that. I'm transparent as all H. I like putting myself up front and I don't mind taking the arrows. It's perfectly fine if they come my way. I, for many, many years, only played Call of Duty for the campaign. You all know that, right? This is not new news. If you're been subscribed for a while, I've always been a campaign guy. Well, not anymore. I am a maximum prestige COD player. I haven't played COD like this since the Xbox 360 days. I'm looking forward to Black Ops 7. I played the beta. I very much enjoyed it. I'm playing. There's a Predator skin coming to Black Ops 6 for their Halloween event. Freaking hell yeah. I'm spending, I don't care how much it is. I'm going to be running around as the Predator. Yes, freaking please. But what was absent and why I put myself on the stand, ladies and gentlemen, is because very simply, someone like me who normally would only play the campaign and now I'm invested in multiplayer. What was one of the first things that I did when after the beta for Black Ops 6? I upgraded to the Vault Edition. That was $30. Now, what did you get for the Vault Edition? I actually don't remember, to be honest with you. But needless to say, it was probably not worth the $30, but I got the Vault Edition nonetheless. So I upgraded. And then since then, and I'm not going to embarrass myself and tell you how much I've actually spent on skins, because I probably have about 30 of them. Some I bought and I'm like, okay, so the first skin I bought was the dragon one. Do you remember that one? Anyone? It's like this. The wings are as big as the character, and I'm like, what a stupid ass for buying this. People could see me coming around the corner a mile away. I used it once, got killed a gazillion times. That's it. I'm not doing it. What a knucklehead. I'm not using this skin. But there are some that I've really enjoyed, and some I consistently go back and forth with. So I spent some money. That is important information when you consider the claims of loss. Now, granted, the 300 million in upfront sales for the actual disc or the game, yes, they lost those sales because of Xbox Game Pass. What's not in the report, and it's kind of one-sided, man, it really is, are new subscribers to Game Pass because of Call of Duty? How many people upgraded to the Vault Edition? That's absent. And how many people, okay, this is where it gets interesting, folks, decided because they got the game for free that they were going to buy DLC in the form of microtransactions and skins and guns and and COD coins. Because if you're not paying out of pocket, you are, and this is a proven fact, folks. I'm not making this up. This has been studied. You are more likely to spend on microtransactions for getting a game for quote unquote free. This is why the free to play model is so lucrative, because you're not paying for the game. You are more likely to spend money on microtransactions. And even though Call of Duty Black Ops 6 isn't free to play, Jamie Moran in chat, it is perceived as it being free to play because it's in your service. So I said all of that, ladies and gentlemen, to say and ask the question. And Jamie, I'm going to hand you the mic now. Black Ops 7 has already been advertised for Game Pass, but I want to kind of go into an alternate earth here and suggest, and I want the chat involved in this. You know where I'm going, folks. And if you listen to Dirt's show, and you should listen to Dirt's show, they asked a question. Jamie asked a question. What if, for the one exception, that Call of Duty was not put into Game Pass, but you would keep the old $20 price? Is that worth it? Jamie Moran, take it away, sir.
Yeah, like you're saying, the amount of money Call of Duty makes, it's not really as cut and dry as people might think. Because, like, yes, Call of Duty being in Game Pass may have lost Microsoft $300 million, but like you said, there's more people buying the Battle Pass. Like, I'll put this out there. I play Call of Duty for the campaign. I'm one of those nerds. I'm one of like the 5%. I play Warzone. I don't really touch multiplayer, and I've just gotten into zombies with the new beta. So, like, when it comes to traditional PvP, I don't really touch that much. I think in Warzone I've got like 85 wins now. Hooray for me. But like, Microsoft, like, they make money, like I was saying, they make more money off the battle passes now, the skins. Like, every time I play Warzone, there's people running around as Homelander. Ana de Armas, right? Like a £30 skin, right? Crazy. So, like, say Microsoft lost $300 million off, like, it being in Game Pass, doesn't really make much sense because the other numbers aren't being reported. And the reason I bring up the whole, like, what if Microsoft made it the one game that wasn't launching in Game Pass? And by the way, me merely mentioning this angers some people because they want Call of Duty in Game Pass. They think I'm taking away from them. Microsoft isn't going to listen to me. Right? I'm just one person saying this. I think that Microsoft putting Call of Duty in Game Pass is a great thing. One, it's the biggest thing you can basically advertise Game Pass for every time you advertise Game Pass, right? If you see a trailer for Game Pass, you're going to see Master Chief, you're going to see some fancy cars, you're going to see Call of Duty, all those types of things, right? Game Pass in these services aren't typically marketed with like smaller titles, not really. Towards the end of the year, we're probably going to see Expedition 33, mentioned in trailers. So, like, when it comes to Call of Duty, it's the biggest game of the year every year, unless, let's say, a Grand Theft Auto releases. I think that Microsoft could potentially look at Call of Duty as maybe the outlier. Like, look at Apple streaming, right? Apple streaming movies, they launch in the service. But do you know what didn't launch in the service this year? F1 the movie. F1 the movie came out, made a ridiculous amount of money. It made more money than people thought it would be because it was a Formula One movie, right? Formula One isn't that big in the US, but the movie did bloody well, right? And that movie came to streaming, I believe, 3 months after the theatrical release. So, like, would it be the worst thing in the world if it was 3 months? Like, if that's the case, because, like, look, raising Xbox going up in price, I think was an inevitable thing. All of these services go up, Netflix, Disney Plus. But the problem is that if you raise your price of your service 50% like overnight, it's a bit much, right? Like it's nobody wants this. We see people complain about $1 for like Netflix every time that goes up $1, right?
Yes.
But 50% overnight, so that's a lot of money. You're getting into the territory where you may actually be pricing some people out of the top tier, right? So some people are going to have to go to the middle tier or the bottom tier, which means they aren't going to get day one games, right? And a lot of people do subscribe to Game Pass for the day one games. So, there's that. But however, if we just taken those numbers, the $300 million, and not taking in the microtransactions, not taking in, like you said, the Vault Edition upgrade, right? What if we do put those numbers in there as well? Maybe Microsoft don't even look at that $300 million as a loss because they have more people subscribing to Game Pass. They had a boost last year of Game Pass around Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So, like, all we have to do now is basically theorize what's going on behind the scenes because we don't know what's happening, right? We just know what journalists are posting about. These journalists know about how much Call of Duty potentially didn't make on Xbox. However, they don't know how much Microsoft made with microtransactions. However, we do know that Call of Duty prints money. And, it's one of the few games that can, like, come out every single year with a $70 game. It sells out. Everyone's talking about it. And, like, look, every single time I talk about the new Call of Duty game, do you know what I get in my replies? People hating on it. People saying, oh, Battlefield 6 is going to be better. And as you know, Boom, I'm a Battlefield fan, right? I used to play Battlefield 3 every day till my hands were bleeding, figuratively. And, like, all these people that are hating on Call of Duty at the minute, yeah, you're going to have a few that discover Battlefield for the first time. Good on them. However, you can't pick up and play Battlefield the way you do with Call of Duty. Battlefield is a very tactical, strict game, but Call of Duty you can play casually, right? When I play Call of Duty and do the PvP, I do terrible. Admittedly, I can't play like I used to. I had a 12-year gap in between playing Call of Duty multiplayer. My skills aren't what they used to be. However, I can just pick up, play Call of Duty, have some fun. With Battlefield, you're in the trenches. You're fighting for your life. Right? It's not like that. So, like, you're going to have people that are hating on Call of Duty at the minute, but 3 months after launch, they're going to realize maybe they don't want to sweat it out in multiplayer and Battlefield every single day. So they're going to dabble into Call of Duty again. And Call of Duty is a very crisp, fun multiplayer shooter. But, like, back to the whole, like, Game Pass thing, I think that we're just going to have to wait for Microsoft to, make a move, because when they tried to raise the price of Xbox Live Gold a couple of years ago, they literally reversed course in like 12 hours.
Yeah.
But Game Pass is a way bigger deal because, it's everything in the service now. You have your multiplayer, you have your day one games and your library and your cloud. So I think Microsoft, I don't know why people are talking about Grand Theft Auto 6 won't be in Game Pass. Nobody said that.
Dude, there's absolutely no way. Hell would have to freeze over 3 times over. That is not happening.
No, I think it's because I said Call of Duty is the biggest the biggest game every year when a Grand Theft Auto doesn't come out. I didn't mention Game Pass. But anyway, I think we're gonna have to see what Microsoft does, because like Microsoft might be decide behind the scenes what they're gonna do. But look, I love the fact that Call of Duty launches a Game Pass. I'm not saying personally, hey, Microsoft, by the way, while you're listening, take Call of Duty away from me this year. Like, no, I'm paying for Game Pass. I want first party games. Call of Duty is a first party game. Like that's just the simple fact of it, right? I like getting Call of Duty in Game Pass. As someone that only plays the campaign and I dabble in Warzone, do I really want to pay £70 for a campaign that how long is the Call of Duty campaign? Like 12 hours?
Maybe
Yeah.
12 hours.
Like,
Yeah, give or take.
I don't want to play. I don't want to pay £70 for a Call of Duty campaign, but in Game Pass, that I can do. It's just that look, everything's all up in the air at the minute. People are like, as we're talking about, people on edge. But like, look, Game Pass, it's a great service. The price going up it's a kick in the gonads. Let's be honest, right? It's a good service with a uniquely bad situation. Because, like, look, can you imagine the reaction tomorrow if Netflix came out and said, "Hey, we're raising our price 50%"?
Be
Right?
world news, dude.
Yeah,
Like it would
world
be.
news. Like hell, when Disney Plus had its price hike in the UK, like 2 years ago, right? People were livid, absolutely livid. And it's like, yeah, 50%'s a lot. It doesn't matter what the service is. And look, I use Game Pass every day, every single day. I think it's the best service in gaming. I think even with its price hike, it's still the best deal in gaming. That said, Microsoft should really reverse course because look, especially in the UK, like nobody has any money, right? Especially with all the things that's going on in the country at the minute, people just want a better deal, and I think it's okay for consumers to want a better deal. So, like, that's just the only. That's one of the things that I say about, like, what if Microsoft removed Call of Duty from Game Pass? Like, if that was the reason, then I'd say they should do it. However, I don't actually think that is the reason.
Well, again, there is a small piece of information that I do want to add to the first story, Jamie, before we move on to this unbelievably ridiculous anti Phil Spencer story. Folks, this is crazy. Like, again, I'm only covering it because it's so crazy. It's so outrageous that I would feel less of a person if I didn't cover how stupid it is. And there are people running narratives, including the press, which is, man, it's just, again, no names, folks. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but wow. So the additional information, Dirt Griggity actually just DM'd me. And this is okay. So VGT Gaming News reported that Xbox is sending out emails reverting aspects of the Xbox Game Pass increase for people living in the EU due to the EU Consumer Protection Act. At this time, in parentheses, these increases will only affect new purchases and will not affect your current subscription for the mark in which for the mark in which country you live in. Now, he did say, Dirk Griggity, I guess it's real, but only in certain places with consumer protection. That's it. I'm going back to focusing on work and minding my damn business, as he said on which he posted. But again, folks, I don't know if it's going to affect you if you live in the EU. I would reach out to Xbox and find out exactly what they're doing. They would, contact customer support. Don't wait on the phone. Use the chat, and they'll get back to you. Do not open. If you get this email, folks, just delete it. There is something going on with this email. It is nefarious and it's troublesome. So stay away from the email. I'm sure that Xbox is well aware of this email that is going around, and they're probably going to course correct on it and at least get it removed. But just be super, super careful about that. So, Jamie, before we get into this Phil Spencer story, which I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous. It just, again, we're going to get into gaming talk. This is not going to be a big topic, but I got to talk about it because I saw Destin Legary actually post on it. I do want to catch up on super chats. We got 4 of them here. And before we get on out of here, we'll get to the poll results and I'll close the poll. So Dan Lazaro drops a very generous $5 super chat. Dan goes on to say, in that Xbox doc, they said Microsoft was always trying to kill Xbox. It might just be an inside job. If they lower prices now, they'll just kill Xbox Game Pass later. So, Dan, here's the thing. There were a couple of high-ranking officials in Xbox that are no longer there. that wanted Xbox out. They wanted to get rid of it. That didn't happen. You have Xbox making as much as Windows now. It is making lots of money. Yes, have they lost some money on development? Sure. Have they canceled games? Absolutely. That's lost money. That's lost revenue. Have they closed studios? Absolutely. That also costs money. Sony's doing the same, going through the same thing. We don't have to reiterate what Sony went through. We all know what they went through. Xbox is seeing some of those same instances within the company. Microsoft is well, at least at one point was a $4 trillion company. I don't know where they sit now. Corporate greed is always going to be at the forefront of all the decisions that these mega corporations want to make. And it's disappointing. Xbox is not, unfortunately, immune to any of the greed. It is a publicly traded company. Xbox is making a lot of money, but there is some bloat, and they want to get rid of that bloat. And they figured that some of the bloat would be some of the studios that they closed last month, some of the games that they canceled, right? And on the back end of that, we heard, and it was reported by numerous sites, that Amy Hood herself didn't make a suggestion. She literally told Xbox, "You need to fix this loss of 300 million." And I've already told you my thoughts and theories on it. It's 300 million up front, but there are people, especially in the games community and in the journalistic community, that are not trying to find out, with the loss up front of Game Pass having Call of Duty, how many of those users spent on microtransactions and battle passes because they quote unquote got it for free. That has not even been uttered one time. And I think, and I'm not a business analyst, folks, but I'm saying I can use myself as a test bed. I spent a lot of money, and not because I'm a whale. It's because I really enjoyed and had no problem spending the money, because I did get this game, one of my favorite games of last year that I consistently play. I was playing this morning. I got about 5 rounds in. I really enjoy multiplayer on Call of Duty, specifically with Black Ops. So when I see a skin that's appealing to my eye, I will just go out and buy it if I don't already have the coins. I don't make it an apologies or an excuses for that. So again, these are legitimate numbers that are not a part of the reported 4.2 million less sold on Xbox, which equates to 300 million in Xbox Game Pass. And I really think it's a one-sided conversation, and it's wrong. I mean, again, I don't care. I'm not making any money from this, folks. I'm just telling you that if we're going to have a conversation and it's going to include numbers, it's got to include all of the numbers, not just what makes sense for the narrative that X, Y, and Z are trying to create. I'm just saying. But thank you for that, Dan. Super appreciate the generosity as always. I hope that answers the question. A little bit long-winded for me, but it's I like expounding on the chat and everything. So we have look at me, the broke boy drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Boom, check DMs. Colt updated an hour ago about Game Pass." Yeah, you know what? Listen, I appreciate it. I did see that, and I thank you for hitting me up with that, brother. Listen, just be careful. Just be super careful about any emails you get from that specifically at Xbox. That's not officially Xbox. It's nefarious, and it could cause it could cause problems for you on your PC or your phone or wherever you open it up. Just don't do it. Delete it. Julia in the chat, who's been a channel member, wow, for 49 months. Julia goes on to say, yes, remove Call of Duty. I got news for you. I took just a quick peek at the poll. I am incredibly surprised, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll get to that poll number right now, but I have 2 more super chats here. Oh my goodness. So Will the Broke Boy Lewis, formerly Will the Broke Boy Lewis, Says, look at me, the broke boy. Says at Double Barrel Gaming, damn. Dirt's not even on the show, and he has stolen my points. WTF. Dirt, wherever you are, brother, your ears must be ringing, but it's for the fun of the show. I don't know what to say, Will, other than I apologize for someone not on the panel actually stealing your thoughts and your theories. We also have Sloth in the chat, drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says it would be great if we could. Yeah, see, this is. We're gonna have to talk about this at some point. This is a phenomenal Sloth. This is great. So what Sloth is saying after dropping a very generous $5 super chat says it would be great if we could, quote unquote, build our own Game Pass coverage. Not everyone plays Fortnite and not everyone likes Ubisoft. So again, folks, this is why I love the chat. And it doesn't have to be a super. I try to read all the chats, and if we get stuff like this, I do announce it on the air. But because it's a super chat, I do read it because no one owes us anything here, and we're always grateful for the generosity. So thank you so much, Sloth, for the $5 super chat, but also for the point. So I'm going to use myself once again as a test bed, folks. Why this is not conducive for my value proposition with this increase are 2 points. One, I don't play Fortnite. Now, occasionally I'll see a skin that means something to me, like G.I. Joe, for instance. I bought the Snake Eyes skin. I'm a G.I. Joe fan. I bought the Turtles. There are a few other ones that I purchased. Now, I dabble. I just dabble maybe once every couple of months. The Fortnite crew thing, which, like Jamie, I'm a boomer, folks. I had no idea what this was. I was like, I actually thought it was a new game. Is that a new game or something? I'm so old, right? Fortnite crew means absolutely nothing to me. The $12 means nothing to me. I wouldn't spend on it. I could give a flying you know what. But where it gets worse for me personally is I pay $17.99 right now for Ubisoft Plus. Now, you might be saying, well, Boom, why do you spend that money? Well, because I like Ubisoft games, and all of the DLC from anything that I have purchased or that has been in the service that gets in there new, I just have to download. I don't have to worry about it. And I play all of their games. I really do. I like Ubisoft, even though sometimes they're a crappy company. So having Ubisoft Plus Classics is even more salt in the wound because I have them, or I'm already paying for them. So adding this to the service means nothing to me. So I actually think there should be a fourth tier. I think, like, you've seen the insurance commercials, right? There are car insurance commercials. There are some cable companies that allow you as the customer to pick what you actually use, and you pay for only what you use. And if there was a way to get Fortnite Club and Ubisoft Classics out and keep my old price of $20, and the increase was something minuscule, like it went up $2 or $3, that would have been a story. Unfortunately, again, that did not happen, but maybe it should have. Great point of view, Sloth. Thank you so much for that. So you know what? Let me get to the poll, and I'm going to close it. So right now, the poll. This is crazy, folks. I am incredibly now. It's not the most. Okay, so it's over 200 votes. It's a smaller poll. I probably should have dumped it in there because we have over 800 people watching live. So we have over 200 votes, and the question was very simple. Would you rather every Call of Duty be removed to keep the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate price at $19.99? Well, 62% of you folks said yes, I could care less about Call of Duty. 34% of you said no, absolutely not. It is first party. And 4% of you said, what's Call of Duty? I threw that in there as a zinger. So again, the winner of the poll is most people in the chat that have voted on this. don't care about Call of Duty, and they would rather it be out of the of the service so they can keep the old price. Pretty interesting stuff there. Let me just say that. But let me just close that. Now, Jamie, I want to get to this next story, and it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that Destin Legary actually said I shouldn't reply, but just to be clear. Okay, so a style. So okay, let me. This is again. It's evidence based conversation, and it's got some big names attached to it. So I wanted to make it a topic because again how ridiculous it is and how reaching some people are just trying to damn Xbox. So Paul Tassi, who more than half of the time I don't agree with. I don't think he's a terrible person. I don't know Paul personally. I've used some of his work before. I've always come out and said that when he gets it right, he gets it right. But when he gets it wrong, well, he gets it wrong. And he did this posting, which we're not getting into today, about how he recently canceled his Xbox Game Pass. He's going to be buying more PlayStation games, and he doesn't feel that the increase to $30 is worth it. Now, he's a consumer outside of being a journalist. That's his opinion. I disagree with it, but there's obviously, like I've said many times before, your usage of Xbox Game Pass is going to be different from everybody else. If you're like me and you play everything, it's worth it. If you only play one game or two games out of the service you're paying $30 for as of November 4th, it's not worth it to you. But this is what's interesting. So this tweet or this post originally came from Paul Tassi. And Paul goes on to say, I know people were saying that this guy was reliable. And who is this quote unquote guy he is talking about? Well, he's talking about Sneakers SO. Now, Sneakers SO is ultimately responsible for the original rumor of Xbox getting out of the console business for next generation from his so-called sources. I've told you this before. I did not know who he was. Speaking with Chaos Lounge and a few other people behind the scenes, he gets it more wrong than he gets it right. He is credited with getting it right with the Xbox third-party debacle, but okay, he got something right, but does that make him right all the time? The answer is absolutely not. So Sneakers SO says this. The first, again, I'm reading verbatim to Paul Tassi's tweet, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not changing anything whatsoever. So Paul has it boxed out where it says this: the first party portfolio, I can say without question that the best thing for their competitors that Microsoft ever did was putting Phil Spencer in charge. The fact that he used actual marketing budget from Xbox to launch, and get this, folks, an AstroTurf-led PR campaign amongst gaming communities to create a folksy persona or a folksy persona we all have all grown accustomed to is just typical sociopathy you can expect to see from executive corporate class of the most mega corporations. So let me just break that down. Ultimately, what Sneakers SO is saying is that Phil Spencer used actual marketing dollars, and there were several people named in this. I surprisingly was not one of them. I'm very surprised by this. In this so-called pointing of the finger, there were several big name people in the community, and that comes the way of a post from MBG, which I believe this post is now deleted. MBG accused people like Colt Eastwood and several others. I don't. Again, I don't. I know I saw Colt's name. I don't remember who else was on this list. What I do know was about 4 names, and I wasn't one of them. Which, of course, I'm not paid off for. Do I get review copies? Yes, but I'm bound to have to do reviews. And do I give high marks for some of the reviews? Yes, because I like the game. What do you want me to tell you? Am I going to go out of my way to give something a 6 just because you said I should give it a 6 if I enjoyed it? No, I don't play that game. It's not the way it works. If I enjoy a game, I talk about it, I give it a score. But Paul Tassi said in his tweet, and this is where he had quote tweeted what MBG said, and of course in that posting by MBG was this suggestion from Sneakers SO. Now Paul Tassi goes on to say, I know people were saying that this guy was reliable for the Xbox is getting out of hardware claim, but Phil Spencer using funds to run an AstroTurf PR campaign to get people to like him in some console war is Aquan shit. Or Q. I believe it's Q.
Quanon. I think it's called Quanon.
Quanon. Thank you. Thank you for that. So console war Quanon shit is what he said. Folks, this is not a big topic. It's not. It's one that I just think, my God, I had to talk about because there are actual people running with this. And I saw, thankfully, Paul Tassi isn't one of them. He's a journalist. He writes for a living. That's his job. He obviously debunked this. But I've seen some things, folks, and I'm not going to try and embarrass anybody, in the community that ran with this. Delete your tweets, folks. And you know what? At this point, it might be too late because they're receipt keepers. And there are some really good ones out there. You might actually get into the POS of the week on Dirt Show. Crispy Bomb is always keeping these receipts in his back pocket. Listen, I can say without an absolute single of a doubt that there is not one Xbox content creator that I know personally, and I know several of them. I know the Iron Lords. I know that they're multi-plat like me, but they're considered Xbox guys. King David being one of them. I'm an Xbox guy. Colt, Randall Thor. There's a Dirt Griggity and all of his crew are all Xbox guys. That's just their shtick. I can tell you without a single doubt that no one is being paid off. That is the most ridiculous shit I have ever heard in my entire life. Now, do we get flown out to things? Yes. Do they pay for our travel? Like, for instance, I got Bethesda invited me to to Manhattan, and I wound up going down there, and I got a goodie bag and everything. And I took the time out of my day to cover Fallout 76, which I'm putting the finishing touches on that video right now. But I'm a content creator that reviews Xbox games. And they obviously appreciate and trust my opinion to be invited to these things. They flew me out last year to Los Angeles to play Indiana Jones. I have never had that happen to me in my entire life, but that was a thing. Am I getting paid to say that Indiana Jones was great? No, Indiana Jones is freaking awesome. I don't care what you say. But no one is getting paid off, folks. I can tell you that no one is getting checks in the mail from the Microsoft Corporation to talk nice about Satya Nadella on the Microsoft side or Phil Spencer on the Xbox side. If you think that, my God, you need some help. Jamie, let's get your thoughts on this before we get into some gaming talk.
I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been, like, you've seen this. I've been accused of being paid off by Microsoft. I have never once received a penny from Microsoft. I've never received a code from Microsoft. Do you know Microsoft actually gives review codes to people that actively make videos that bash Xbox on a daily basis? I have never received a review code directly from Microsoft. I've received 2 review codes, and I obviously because of YouTube and because of the things you sign. We have to literally say up front if we got the review code, and that was for Flight Simulator 2024 and Age of Mythology. That's it, through a third party. And like the whole AstroTurfing thing, that doesn't even make any sense, because like these companies, they have marketing money to pay to fly people out to these events to cover these games. They have to give codes out for people to cover these games before release. It's called marketing. Look at the recent Battlefield event. Like, what, a couple of hundred people were flown there, and like some of the biggest streamers in the world, like Tim the Tap Man and all that, right, to play a Battlefield, right? So people are going to go after them. Can we not believe what those people said? Because some of them were actually paid. It's a dumb topic, right? Like Sony does this, Nintendo does this, Ubisoft does this. It's not an AstroTurfing campaign. It's literally what marketing dollars are spent for in the, I'm doing air quotes, the influencer space. It's stupid. It's stupid. Like, it's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of. I mean, look, I'll talk about a little story that happened a while back. Like, so when Cyberpunk 2077 was actually fixed in 2022, it was fixed a week before Elden Ring came out. Nobody paid attention to it because Elden Ring came out. So I was posting about Cyberpunk maybe once every day, and I was accused by a bunch of people being paid off by CD Projekt Red.
Wow.
Just because I was posting videos of myself enjoying the game. And yeah, that's stupid. Like, I've been offered some pretty decent opportunities recently, not about Xbox, but to cover certain things in gaming. And it's like, would I be accused of being paid off by that company because I was offered to go to a said studio and play said game? No, that's just how these things work. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. So like, if those tweets have been deleted, that wouldn't surprise me. In a week of like weird news and like leaks and rumors, like, we're at a point now, we're at an impasse. Let's call it an impasse, where so many people are coming out with so much random made up BS that,
Ridiculous.
like, literally, we can make, like, I'm going to make one up right now. Actually, this isn't made up. Do you know that Apple is buying PlayStation tomorrow?
Oh yeah, wow.
You
Breaking
heard it.
news, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
you heard it here first. I heard through the grapevine. Definitely not made up whatsoever. Winks side face, emoji. It's stupid. It's stupid. I think it. Look, this past week we've went from Game Passes going up to Game Passes going up because of Call of Duty. Then days later, the Xbox division is shutting down hardware, to Xbox's paying people to cover Xbox in a specific way. Is that what we're doing now? Okay, tomorrow the sky is falling. The sky is falling. Earth is going to explode. A meteorite is going to hit Earth tomorrow, right after Apple buy PlayStation. But that's stupid. I can't believe this is where we're at now.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
It,
So
it,
again, look, folks. There's no one being paid off. If you believe that, and real quick, I normally don't get vexed live on the air, and I normally let things like this go. But I think I've been tolerant enough. There is a particular user in the chat, and this is where the horns come out for me. His name is Ray Ray. Now, Ray, listen, I normally don't do the name thing here, but I'm doing it now, and I'm going to do it because of what you just said. First of all, brother, I have tolerated your horse shit on this channel for a very long time. And even though you say egregious things, I normally let it go. And I haven't banned you yet, which I'm going to allow you to just hang on to give a comment before I ban you, because I am going to get you out of here. He says you don't have to be given actual money to be paid off, implying that somehow or another, because we are, or at least me, being invited to these things, I'm being paid off. Let me tell you something, brother. First of all, you don't know me from a hole in the wall. And if there's anything about me that stands true, it's my integrity. And I will never take $1 to be told to do something that I don't believe out of my heart. So I would curse normally, but you can go F yourself, Ray Ray. You can go F yourself because that is uncalled for. I've never come at you before. I've never disrespected you. That is not only disrespectful, it's uncalled for. So I am going to ban you now, and I'm going to do that like literally right now. So you can unsub, you can give me the finger, you can write about me, you can tell everybody that I banned you. Please tell them why I banned you. Again, I've tolerated your nonsense for long enough, and what I will not stand for is my integrity to be questioned about quote unquote being paid off by anybody. Brother, you have no idea how difficult it is to run a channel and produce 5 live shows per week. You know what? Do you know what that equates to how much I work on this channel? And do you know how much we actually get? It's pennies on the dollar, brother. Let me just tell you that. But it's not the Ray Ray from Dirt Show. It's the fake Ray Ray. It's the Dollar Tree Ray Ray, if you will. But yes, yeah, he's out of here, and yeah, go F yourself, Ray Ray, wherever you may be, because no, my integrity cannot be bought. I work hard on this channel, and I give you my honest opinion. And yes, I am an Xbox fan, and obviously you're not, but that's fine. So, man, this has been a day. Tom Warren so this is what's crazy. Getting back to the opening topic about the fake email. Well, it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, it's real. And that's what Will the Broke Boy Insider was saying, and I want to shout out Will for dropping this into my DM. Colt Eastwood has updated his thing. Again, this is one of those shows that I'm gonna hate watch, because I always watch my own shows to make sure how I can improve as a host. And I'm gonna hate watch this one because Jesus, there's been so many turning cogs. This is why I don't even report on this stuff. Shame on me for reporting on this, folks. But Colt says no, you can be grandfathered out of Game Pass if you get this email. No, that's what he said originally about the harmful links. Tom Warren actually responds, this email is real, and it is referring to the protections from the EU. So again, folks, apology for wasting your time. It has been a story that has been involving live on the air. And again, it's one of those instances where I'm only reporting on what I'm seeing in front of me. And apparently there is some truth to the email. I don't know for a fact if some of the emails that were going out were faked and did have, red flag concerns. But needless to say, the price hike is happening. It goes into full effect on the 4th of November for the United States. If you are someone in the EU, it might take 60 additional days for that to happen, because they have to give you 60 days. And you would know this, obviously, because you are in the EU, Jamie Moran, by law, or by the way that they protect their consumers. You can't just drop a price increase onto the masses. You must give notification, and that notification is 60 days. So take it for what it's worth, folks. Again, I hate wasting your time because I feel like a knucklehead in front of this microphone, but I'm only reporting on what was reported, and I want to make sure that everyone is protected, because the last thing I want to hear is, hey, Boom, my account was this. But you know what, Jamie? There was a report this morning. Anybody a fan of Silent Hill? I mean, if you are, then you probably bought Silent Hill F. I didn't buy it, not because I'm not a fan, and it is J horror, so I am very excited for it. I have too many games. I bought too many games, and if I did buy it, and I'm gonna buy the deluxe edition for $80, it would just literally be me throwing my money away. I'm not going to play it. I just rolled credits on Aliens, Rogue Incursion, and part 1, because there is going to be a part 2, and I put 19, almost 20 hours into it. I just started it again because I want to get some more achievements. What a game! What a game! I'm going to say this, folks. I don't know who played this game in VR, but if you did, you have balls of steel, because that game has jump scares left, right, and center. And I could think, unless you are, you're someone that does 5 miles per day like I do doing cardio, you might have a coronary with this game. I could not have played this in VR. There's just no way. It is. I got spooked a couple of times because I was in the dark wearing headphones. It's really good. If I could make a suggestion to anyone, go look up Aliens Rogue Incursion. It's $30. There is a deluxe edition you can buy, which of course I buy because I buy all deluxe editions. But so shout out to Extinction in the chat. Yeah, that's what we're actually gonna get into. Silent Hill 2 remake, folks, came out last year around this time, as a matter of fact, as a PlayStation 5 exclusive, and I bought it. And apparently, we got some reporting that exclusivity has expired. It was for 1 year. And there is a running rumor, Jamie Moran, that in the coming days, or even as soon as today, or as tomorrow, because tomorrow's the 8th, we could get an announcement that Silent Hill 2 Remake will be released not only for the Xbox Series consoles, it might be coming to Switch 2 as well. And a little piece of information: if you are someone that pays for PlayStation Plus, there is a running rumor that it could be coming to the actual. I think I sent it to the DM over here. Let me see if I could find it. Yeah, here it is. So this is a report, ladies and gentlemen, from Eurogamer.com. It was posted today. Who wrote this? It was Ed Nightingale. And it goes on to say in the lead headline, Silent Hill 2 Remake reportedly coming to PlayStation Plus later this month. And as the console exclusivity ends. So Ed goes on to say in this report, and this is exciting, folks, because it's Halloween. I like horror games. I know, Will, you like horror games. I know that there are Silent Cypher. There is Fuzzy Belvedere and the Misses. They like horror games. One of my favorite in the series for Silent Hill was Silent Hill 2. I absolutely adored it. The remake is gorgeous, and I will be buying it. I will be buying it on Xbox. Well, according to Ed Nightingale of, once again, Eurogamer.net, who went private, by the way. They got out of the IGN deal, then now they're doing their own thing. Ed goes on to say the remake of Silent Hill 2 is reportedly heading to PlayStation Plus catalog later this month, available for both extra and premium subscribers. That's according to a reliable insider, Bilby _KUN of Dead Labs, who reported Konami and Bloober Team's remake will also be added on the 21st of this year to the PlayStation service. Silent Hill 2 was released last October for PlayStation 5 as a console exclusive, also available on PC. But according to the story, now this is where it gets interesting, folks. It also continues momentum for the series following the release last month of Silent Hill F, developed by Neobards Entertainment and published by Konami. Silent Hill's F frustrating first half outweighed it by its brilliant decision. Delirious second half is well worth the initial slog, according to Eurogamer's report. But what's interesting here is it is rumored, folks, that tomorrow, which is the 8th, when it's going to be a year to the day, the exclusivity is expiring. There is a rumor, Jamie Moran, that there could be an announcement for this game releasing not only on Xbox but on Switch 2. For you personally, I don't know what your feeling is on horror games, but I am all in on Silent Hill 2 remake, and apparently they are remaking Silent Hill 1 and 3. That is another rumor that's going on. Jamie Moran, is this going to be the month of Silent Hill, and will you be getting Silent Hill 2 remake?
You know, I tried to tell people online it was coming. Last week I was making posts about it. I was told I was a liar because I said the exclusivity period was ending on the 8th. So like I don't like to say I told you so, but I told you so. Yeah, I saw this coming. I mean, I think a lot of people did. I think that, you know, if you're a horror fan on Xbox, like Silent Hill, we haven't had a new one on Xbox. I think, what was it, Downpour on the 360? I think that was the last one we had.
And that wasn't that great.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. And you know, like, look, when it comes to scary games, I've said it millions of times. I am a scaredy cat, right? Like Alien Isolation is one of my favorite games of all time, but that was 33 and a half hours of me crawling, sneaking through vents, hiding in lockers because I was absolutely crapping myself, right? That was a terrifying experience. But I do actually like playing horror games. So I'm looking forward to this. I, like you, I put off Silent Hill F because I want to go through 2 first. And you know, 2's meant to also get an expansion, which should be announced around about the same time.
Yep.
So for people that haven't basically kept up with it, the official website for Silent Hill 2 remake had basically, there's 2 spaces on the website which could be highlighted for text, and those would basically fill in for, you know, console names. So obviously it's going to be Xbox Series XS and Switch 2. Hey, it's coming finally. I think, you know, the age of these third party, you know, exclusivity deals, it's coming to an end. You know, Square Enix announced a couple of weeks ago that Final Fantasy VII remake, not just part 2 but part 3, is coming to Xbox, which means it's going to be on everything the same day whenever it launches, which is great. I think it's about time. You know, we don't need to see this stuff anymore. And plus, Silent Hill, it's a multi-platform franchise, just like Metal Gear Solid. You know, it's the right thing, and hopefully, this just means we're going to see less of these deals, because Konami IP should be everywhere. You know, Konami's getting into the game again. For people that haven't really kept up with Konami, they are really pushing ahead with video games.
They
You know,
sure are, man. Surprising. Actually,
yeah,
surprising comeback, to be honest
yeah.
with you.
For the longest time, like, they didn't really invest into like big games, and like they are all in on Metal Gear Solid. Like, the reason we're getting these remakes of Metal Gear Solid specifically is because the team's learning how to make Metal Gear games. So we're going to get a Metal Gear Solid 2 remake, a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake. And by the way, I basically posted about this last week as well, because I found some really cool translations from TGS. It looks like we're getting Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2, which I 100% believe will have Metal Gear Solid 4. 100%. And I love that game. Love that game. Even though it has 9 hours of cutscenes. I'm not even kidding. That game has more cutscenes than gameplay. It's amazing, though. But yeah, like, they are training their newer team, their younger staff, to make new Metal Gear games. You know, that's why we have David Hayter, like, in all these adverts, because like they bringing him back. He's going to be in more Metal Gear games. So when you have Silent Hill 2 remake, that's doing well. Silent Hill 1 remake, like, we it's hard to think, like, we got the remake of 2 before 1, but 2 is the most well-known one. But like, they are training their developers. We're going to get a new Silent Hill at some point. Well, we technically already did last month with Silent Hill F, but I like seeing this rise of Konami getting back into AAA games the way they used to, because, like, if you live in Japan, they like, Konami isn't really a big gaming company. You know, they invest money into like gyms, right?
Gyms and
Pachinko,
pachinko
yeah.
machines. Yeah.
And like, if you go into a lot of their business establishments, like, they have this little table of basically little aspects of every single part of Konami. So you have like, you know, the vitamin water and stuff like that, and you'll have like a video game. The video game part of Konami is actually really small, but it looks like they're growing that. I think a lot of people have wanted that. They have a bunch of different cool IP, like Castlevania has been rumored to come back in a big way for about around a year now.
Yep.
And we're meant to be getting a big 3D third-person Castlevania game, which,
freaking amazing,
my God,
dude.
That's you just know it's going to be good. And like, I just like seeing Konami, you know, bringing out big games again. And about bloody time that we see Silent Hill 2 remake on Xbox, which people love, and I can't wait to be absolutely scared to death playing it.
Yeah, me too. I that's a day one purchase for me. What I started to do, folks, and I don't know so much about it, maybe you should make this a topic. Like, I'm so inundated with games, and not just because of Game Pass. Like, I buy a lot of games. I know the rumor is Xbox don't buy games. I know that's a running rumor. That's not true. We do buy a lot of games. I buy a lot of games. So I buy games, and sometimes I remember to play them, and sometimes I'm so, like, for instance, like, I didn't spend like 14 hours in the Black Ops 7 beta. And that's because I could not pull myself away from Aliens Rogue Incursion. It was so good. It's so good that I literally put Dying Like the Beast down. And I went back to that. But I'm honestly having I'm an Aliens fan. I'm an Aliens Predator fan. Predator Badlands coming into the theaters. I'm gonna go see that. I cannot wait. But I'm not getting a penny for this. The company doesn't even know I exist. If you are a fan of Aliens, if you are a fan of Predators, if you like that universe, if you played, this is very interesting. And I'm not going to spoil it for you. There is a connection between this game and Alien Isolation. It's a loose one. And no, it's not even that loose. Let me be honest with you. It's really not. There is a connection between the two games. You got to play the game I'm not going to spoil it for you, folks. It's $30. If you want horror and you want I mean, again, folks, you got to play with the headphones. It's that good that you're going to want to play with headphones. It's $30. Go play this game. If you liked Alien Isolation and you wished for the gunplay, you got to play this game. Massive amount. It's a first-person shooter with aliens. So go play it. But let me catch up on Super Chats. I want to thank everybody. We had over 1,000 people watching live across Twitch, X, and YouTube. Again, this is such a small channel. We're still growing. Today's one of those shows. I'm going to look back at it. I'm going to kind of be hard on myself. I'm going to be honest, because again, it was reported, and then it was the report was changed. I don't like having those kind of conversations because it makes me look like a boob, but I can only report on what I can report on. So apologies for leading you down one path, then say, okay, it's been changed. I don't like that kind of stuff. And Jamie knows, because he works with me on a weekly basis. I put a lot of time and effort into these show notes, and I do a lot of research. And this is one of those things that just changed on the fly. So, of course, I'm going to hate myself for 24 hours that I put on this show, but hopefully you enjoyed the conversation, because there was some interesting conversations in there. But we have Dan, the man Cunningham. Thanks, Dan, for being here, brother, and thank you very much for the very generous $5 super chat. Dan goes on to say, please don't waste your breath on MBG. Boom. He's I'm going to say it, a twat. That's what he said. He spelled it out, so I'm going to spell it out. Look, MBG is a guy that I don't comment on because I don't have anything nice to say. And the way my pop raised me is, son, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. So I'm gonna plead the fifth one on this. I know of him. I don't watch his content. I don't hate him as a human, because I don't really hate anybody, to be honest with you. But Ray got a little close after today's comment. That pissed me off to no end. You have no idea. When you challenge my integrity, folks, the horns come out. They really do. Like that's pushing boundaries, and I don't like it. So Ray got close, but I still don't hate Ray. He's just banned. But thank you for the very generous $5 super chat. And yeah, I only mentioned it because it was a part of Paul Tassie's quote tweet. Otherwise, I wouldn't even mention him because we don't really do the names thing here. It's just something we don't do. Freddie Fox in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat. Freddie goes on to say, they say Call of Duty lost 300 million after dropping into Game Pass, but don't mention Game Pass made the most money ever. That money was made up in GPU media, and Game Pass Ultimate media is disingenuous. Yeah, they are very, again, it's the report itself leaves a lot to be desired. I think there was a lot left out of that report. And I do think that if you just, the way it was reported was the upfront loss, meaning that if you equate the 300 million that's being reported by Bloomberg, that equals about 4.2 million copies sold at the regular price. But again, yes, you in business, you do these types of moves and you do, lose upfront, spending from the consumers, but it's the back end spending that's usually 2 times the amount. So someone's going to come in and they're going to pay you 76.43 for Call of Duty Black Ops 6, or someone is going to pay you $20 to get into the service. And now that they're there, right? They're in the service. They see for $27.83, they can get the $100 edition, which is the Vault edition. So that's an additional $30, almost $30, tacked on with the 20. So that's you're almost at 50 at this point. Now, if that person that got into the service and upgraded to the Vault edition buys just one skin, that's another $20 on top of it. Does that equate the loss of the sale? It does, but that makes too much sense, and that's not good news. That's not clickable news. That's why no one's reporting on it, because it's the truth. And what they want you to fall for is the banana in the tailpipe. Please, ladies and gentlemen, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. We also have Decado here dropping a very generous $5 super chat. It says, Boom is critical of the platform when it's necessary, as everyone should. Play what you love, but don't use blinders. Brother, that's 100%. Again, I have given them smoke. I still am on this square about this price increase. I think it's egregious. Again, I'm paid up for a very long time. I've said that, but I've also followed that with, even with that said, I'm not thinking of myself. I'm thinking about the gamers that were priced out by this, and it's wrong. They could have gone up $5 and they chose corporate greed, and I'm not getting off this square. I gave them smoke. I continue to give them smoke. And again, that's why I hold my integrity super close to the vest, brother. That is who I am. It was my integrity and my honor, which is exactly what my pops was, is how I conducted myself as a police officer for 21 years. And I stand by that. And that's how I conduct myself right now, today, on this small ass channel with this big ass community. Gray Fox 020 drops a very generous £2 super chat. He says, some appreciation to you, Boom. Greetings from Amsterdam. Well, brother, that is very kind of you to say. Greetings from New Rochelle, New York. Today is nice. It's a bit warm for November. It's about 73 degrees, but it's nice and sunny. So greetings from New Rochelle, New York to you, brother. Thank you so much for the very kind words. And of course, the generous $2 super chat. But ladies and gentlemen, listen, that's going to do it for us here. We do have a packed schedule for the remainder of the week. I'm going to be trying to make sense of today's. I may only get one video out of today, maybe two. I got to see how I can work it, because it's a hodgepodge. I don't like these types of shows, but I did put out a video yesterday where Fuzzy Belvedere and the Chaos Lounge and I broke down the report from Jez Corden debunking the cancellation of the next generation hardware, and that video is doing really well for us. So if you missed out on it, it is cut down. I think it's just a pinch over 20 minutes, so it's not too long, but it does break down the report from Jez Corden, where hardware, or more specifically, next generation hardware, is still happening. And they use a plural way of speaking about it being multiple consoles. Jamie Moran, let's sell the brand, brother. Obviously, you have a show with Logan Meyer tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time called the All Things Xbox Podcast. And at least now you can steer away from the nefarious email topic and maybe talk about something else, Splinter Cell or Mass Effect related. And I'm glad that you were here. We got it off our chests. It was talked about. Yes, right, wrong. Again, I'll just say this: be careful of the emails. But Jamie, sell the brand, brother. This is a great show that you and Logan do. Normally, you have anywhere between 12 and 15 topics. It's about 2 hours. It does not use hate rhetoric. It is fun. It's engaging. And you guys have a blast with it. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people check out tonight's show? And more importantly, subscribe to the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. It's always a pleasure. So yeah, the Elusive Game is my YouTube channel. I make pro Xbox content. There's no forced negativity and also no forced positivity. It's just pure Xbox goodness, I like to call it. I did put out a video the other day of the 20 biggest new games coming to Xbox Series X and S for October. These videos, they take upwards of 20 hours to make, and unfortunately, I put the video out when Xbox had some bad news, and as Boom will know, that if you have a positive Xbox video out when there's bad news, it tanks. So like that video, I hope people enjoy it. There's a lot of cool games coming out to Xbox this month. I think a lot of people enjoy that. I also put the link in the comments. But yeah, All Things Xbox podcast is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. We do tend to have anywhere between 12 to like 17-ish topics. We're a 2-hour show. We are actually going to be talking about Splinter Cell because I'm fed up of there not being a Splinter Cell remake in my hands. So that will be a topic. Also, we're going to be talking about the BioWare situation, Battlefield, Call of Duty. It's going to be a fun one. No hate or any of that stuff, and it's always a fun time over there. So that's All Things Xbox podcast at 6 p.m. Eastern on the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel. And my Twitter is Jamie Moran UK, where it's exclusively gaming and jokes.
Well, we appreciate you being a part of the show each and every week. Obviously, again, folks, if you are looking for another positive-based Xbox podcast, you should definitely check out both Jamie Moran and Logan Meyer, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. We will have Umbra return to his post next Tuesday, but more than likely, whenever he misses a Tuesday show, he does like to drop his bars on the Friday morning breakfast with Boom. So it might be Fuzzy, I was gonna say Everborn. He's on my mind. Umbra, and of course we might have Korkenstein join us as he always does. So it's Friday's show. I'm going to be writing and working on. Listen, folks. Again, if you enjoyed today's podcast and it was a little bit all over the place, and apologies for that, I hope that you hit the like button. Again, I wouldn't even, I'm not even going to ask to share it out because I'm probably going to hate watch this video. I really am. Like, I know that there's a lot of people like, hey, Boom, great show. And I love you guys and gals for that. I think it was a good show. It's just that when I report on something and it changes midstream, it drives me crazy because that's not the kind of reporting I do. But, we have to get it right. So even if it makes me look like a boob, I'm going to make sure that the proper information has been put out there. And it's not one of my favorite shows, but listen, we do this Monday through Friday. You get 5 shows a week. It's syndicated. When you expect me to be there outside of me being on my deathbed, and thankfully that hasn't happened, I'm going to be there. And again, I appreciate all the incredible support. A big thank you to all of the super chats, channel member chats, gifted subs, and a bunch of work that goes on behind the scenes to support Double Barrel Gaming. Folks, we are closing in, and I can't wait to make this announcement. I gotta check the numbers, but we officially make 8 years as a YouTuber November 3rd. And we are, I want to say, a stone throw away from 8 million views in under 8 years. That is incredible. That's on average a million views on the channel per year, and we're still at 16.2K. And that's all thanks to you folks. If you weren't here to watch it, and folks, again, those are not bots, and I know that just from clarification, because I pay for vidIQ. I spend $600 a year on this service. It's an additional service for YouTube. It's expensive, but they do a lot of the back end work with the numbers, and they make it easy for guys like me who me and Mrs. Boom are the only ones that do the channel. We don't have any interns or anybody working for us. We just do it ourselves. So they help with it. When I'm having trouble with the title, I can put it into AI and they can generate one, and then I can tweak it to where I like it. And that's usually what I do. But it's also all of the numbers. Like there's a lot of numbers for YouTube, Jamie. When it comes to, it's not just subs, likes, and shares. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So they help out. So they report to me, and that sounds weird. They report the numbers to me, and I know that they're real because that's YouTube giving me the numbers. So that 8 million view count are actually real. But ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for hanging out. A big thank you to Gamer by Choice, who has gifted 1 double barrel gaming membership. Brother, that is very kind of you. Thank you very much for that. Shout out to Thanaros, Rick L, so many people in the chat. Again, I didn't get a chance to, welcome in everybody. If you'll see that I try to at least say hello. It's just my thing. I just think that if you're going to be here, I'm going to try and say hello, either live on the air speaking about it or at least texting to you. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. Once again, enjoy gaming on whatever console or consoles you enjoy gaming on. And of course, we're going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me and makes me smile every time. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, so I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.